Y'all ready for this? Because we are. Good morning. Happy Saturday morning if you're watching us or listening to us live from the iHeart Studios in San Diego. This is Garden America, by the way. Brian Main, John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox. As we settle in for yet another show, this is show number 10,256 as we keep count.
57. 57.
I'm sorry from all the years that have gone by.
You forgot that one that you keep putting out of your mind.
And that was a disaster.
It was.
I didn't know we were on the air.
The whole day.
It was the whole FCC thing came down on us. But we are back. We're ready to go. We hope you had a good week. The weekend is here. And today we're the guests today.
Yeah, well,
we are the guests.
Yeah, exactly.
Our listeners are the guests.
And we have a lot of guests.
Yeah. Tiger's going to interview everyone
Every
who's
single one of
online.
them.
Everybody that's online. There's Kevin, there's Carla, there's Lisa, there's Stam, there's the regular. We have regulars and we have those that check in.
Yeah.
Speaking of interviewing, I know I've said this before, but when you do something long enough, you become an expert at it, and I think that's what's happened to Tiger on interviews. He does one of the best jobs of interviewing people, I would say, on the radio. What do you think about that?
Well, that's interesting because I have some feedback here.
Exactly. Brian's been taking some notes.
Not from me.
No, come on, be honest. The worst one on there is a C minus.
There was a D plus, but we changed it.
Yeah, I got the extra credit problem.
You're in the top 10.
Yeah.
Of interviewers, which isn't bad because you were 15
out of 11.
He cracked the top 10.
Yeah, there's not a lot of people on radio anymore.
So let me ask you this: speaking of Tiger interviews, why don't you just quickly run down for our listeners and our viewers how you contact somebody, how you get them onto the show, the pre-interview. What's that like? What do you do?
Okay, so first off, sometimes I get past like a topic or a subject or a person to me. Sometimes I'll see a news article or something that catches my eye. Then I have to reach out to either whatever organization or person, which nowadays is a little bit easier because of the internet where I can just submit an email request or reach out in that way. But that doesn't always go. It's amazing how the media
steps you have to take.
Well, it's amazing how the media contact on some organizations' websites just go to dead ends. Like it's like, why do you even have a media contact?
Right.
You know, if I'm on the whatever botanical gardens website and they have a link and it says media and it says here's our media's person's phone number, here's their name, here's their email. If you want to reach out to them, here it is. I'll call, I'll email, nothing.
And this happens quite a bit.
Yeah, it happens a lot of times. So then what I'll have to do is I'll have to find another contact at that organization and say, hey, I'm trying to get a hold of someone for this. And they're like, oh, well, let me put you in touch with so-and-so. And no point in time do I ever talk to that media person. And I'm like, what do you even have that person there for? Or they don't answer the phone. I can call any time of the day, and they'll never answer that phone number.
So we should just stop doing it. It sounds like a hassle.
But then then I get a hold of someone, find out who we're going to get a hold of for the interview. I'll talk to them via phone. The Friday before the show, I'll call them. We'll have a little chat about what we're going to talk about, what they can expect. And then in the morning, we call them here on live on the air. So,
and that's it.
Not
a simple process. Dana does the same thing for Mark Larson.
Yeah.
Who does a show here on Kogo. Because she was his producer years ago. And a good producer, they have ways of cutting through all that like you talked about because it is a problem.
Yeah.
And then there was a guy in the studio, little Tommy, who was the producer for Jeff and Jer. He's got a black book that's got probably 100 pages of all the contacts over the years, and it's getting through and knowing the right people. And once you do it a couple of 2 or 3 times, they say, look, just call this number, call me direct, we'll take care of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it can be a hassle sometimes. And it's interesting that all the common denominators you talked about click here, call here, nothing.
Yeah.
Carolyn agrees with me, by the way. She says Tiger is very good.
Oh, thank you, Carolyn.
About what, interviewing?
Yeah. Hey, we have some comments here, and I have to issue an apology. A lot of people are complimenting Lenore on her begonia that was in the newsletter, and I apologize to Eileen in El Granada because...
Is she listening or watching, I hope?
Whether she is or not, I I screwed up and put that the flower was from Lenore, and I'm probably because Lenore always gives us such beautiful pictures.
Sure.
I just messed up. So
Eileen, send us another picture of something, and then we'll put it in there.
I
We'll
think-
just do that only for the newsletter.
well, since it was a nice picture, I think I'm going to just put that one in again.
There you go.
And credit
Give her
it to
credit,
the right
sure.
person. Yeah.
Now let's see. That's the first mistake you've made since February. That's not bad.
No, I made a similar one not that long ago.
Oh, you didn't tell us about that one.
yeah, he did.
Did he?
Remember when he posted the picture? Was it twice? But then you put it under two different people's names.
No,
or
I'm not
something?
talking about that mistake. I mean just life mistakes.
Oh,
Just in general. It's been since February since he made anything, large mistake like that.
No,
and then the one mistake he made that we need to be prepared for coming up. Remember when he didn't put daylight savings time in the other newsletter?
Oh, that's right.
For 6 months I didn't know the right time.
I
of day.
thought we were on the old time. So when is it that we
I was just going to ask, it just came to my mind, and it's stupid, and I probably shouldn't even say it, but would a life mistake be dying?
No, that's inevitable.
That's not a mistake.
That's not a
That's
mistake.
inevitable. All right, so we're going to fall back pretty soon off of daylight savings time to
Not
Pacific
till
Standard
November,
Time.
right?
Well, that's what I'm asking. Yeah, when is
Oh.
that?
Yeah, November.
Doesn't it seem so far away though? Because when you wake up in the morning, it's so dark.
It's dark.
outside.
Well, this is what now it's not going to be quite as dark. Because,
Right, but
yeah,
but it seems
is
like
dark.
it seems like it's forever away. Like you say, it's in November, and we have so much time. I mean, not that much time, but we do have a lot of days where I'm going to be waking up and it's really dark outside.
Didn't we vote to end this several years ago and they just ignored us?
No, we voted. This was the dumb vote.
Yeah.
We voted to think about it. We
Now,
voted for it to be an option.
No, we voted that, to give them permission if they
So,
want to
like-
go ahead and do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So Arizona doesn't fall into this category. I don't think Hawaii does, and I think parts of Indiana does. Certain
really?
counties,
Only,
yeah.
only certain parts?
I believe so. Somebody can fact check, but I believe there's a state that like this county does, this county doesn't.
Oh, how weird
It's
would that
really
be?
weird,
That would be so annoying.
you know. Anyway,
Because you talk about the interview process. We get people from all over the country for the interviews.
absolutely.
So I have to tell them, 8:15
Pacific
Pacific
time.
time, because
Or West Coast time.
wherever they're at, I tell them 8:15 the interview, and they're like, "Wait a minute, you didn't
Yeah.
call me." And I'm like, "No."
Hey, speaking of quotes, bad segue, huh? But speaking of quotes, I think this is one of the best
You
quotes
liked
of
it?
2024. I like this.
Oh.
The
And
only
it's
reason you
interesting.
like it is because it's short.
Well, it's interesting because I'm going to compare this. Some of the most successful songs in history have been short songs, straight to the point, happy little pop songs that do well.
Yeah.
Quotes can be short, but they seem to hit the mark real quick. You're not explaining anything, and this is one of those quotes.
And the quote's from Michael Pollan, and he says that the garden suggests that there might be a place where we can meet nature halfway.
Beautiful, right? You don't have to think about it. Wait, let me think about that. Yeah, okay.
I don't know. I
good
kind of
quote.
thought about it. I had to think about it a minute.
It's thought-provoking.
Yeah.
You don't like it as much as I do you?
Well, I mean, so
It's a
you
little
say
deep. It's a little deep.
it is. You don't think it's? I think it's okay. It's a place where you can meet nature halfway.
Right.
How is that?
Because you're dealing with nature or what God created.
Okay.
So it's like meeting God in the garden, so to speak, or nature. Hi, how are you? Let's do some things together. Let me help work on what you've provided me.
Oh, I took it as just being that.
I'm a little too deep on that. Did I go a little
No,
deep?
that's a nice way to think about it. I just thought about it as being, man. I'm getting an old man's voice. This really bugs me.
And wait till and you
Right.
know what's funny is when during the breaks when he gets up, he makes those noises getting up out of his chair. But you don't get a chance to hear it.
Anyway, I took it more as man, recreating nature around his house, but in our own image, what we think a garden should be.
Right.
So it's kind of like we're meeting nature halfway.
Oh. So we all have different interpretations.
We're
See,
gonna
and
we're
I
gonna
don't-
take this stuff from nature and put it in our garden, but it's got to be in a row.
But see, I don't, I don't get it.
I'm sorry you don't like the quote.
No, it's not that I don't like
He
it.
just doesn't get it.
I just don't get it because it's saying we're meeting nature halfway.
Yeah.
I feel whenever you're gardening, it's 100% nature. Like there's no half. Like it's like, you know what I mean? Like when you're in the garden,
right,
no matter what,
it's all or
nature.
nothing.
Yeah, because when I walk into my backyard, it's my garden, but there's birds, there's lizards, there's plants, there's everything is there. So I think it's 100% nature. It's not and so also I feel we have like what John said, this idea of what we've created out there.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's its own thing. Like it's created its own thing.
We have to take a break.
Oh.
I don't think we've ever dived into a quote and broke it down as much as we have today.
Kevin has his own take on it, too. After the break, we'll come back. Go over that. Yeah.
Biz Talk Radio Facebook Live, welcome. Thank you for joining us. We're going to take a break for Biz Talk Radio and maybe explore more of this quote that John provided today in the newsletter. This is Garden America, back after these messages on Biz Talk Radio. And just like that, we have returned from the break. I do want to thank those on Biz Talk Radio in the many states that tune into this pre-recorded show each and every week. We appreciate it. Facebook Live, we've got our varsity team there today, as always. Veronica likes Tiger's interpretation. Love the quote. Of course, Kevin, you want to read Kevin's?
Yeah, Kevin's quote was to the point, like Kevin often is, right to the point. He says, gardens need to be tended to and cultivated by someone. Nature just does its own thing.
Well, I think nature provides it, right? Here you go. And everybody who gardens is going to do it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And that's fine. There's no, I was going to say there's no right or wrong way, but that's not entirely true because you can do things wrong. Well, we've done things wrong and things still grow, John.
Well, yeah, and it also depends, what you like. If you like everything that's living trimmed into a nice ball,
yeah,
you can hire someone to do that.
That's the
for
ball
you.
trimming method, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. This is something that's interesting too because I visited a lot of
gardens. This is the beauty of having no guest today, by the way.
Yeah. But I visited a lot of gardens. And so one thing that has kind of shocked me over the years is people with their gardens. As far as like what you just said, what they like and what they don't like.
Right.
Sometimes they meet a person and I'll have this opinion of what they're going to want in their yard
or what they should have.
Right. Yeah. But then they'll give me their ideas and what they want, and they're completely different than what I see in that person. Like for instance, you, Brian. Okay.
But you know me though.
But here's what I'm saying. You kind of shock me a little bit in the sense of you are the kind of guy that is very organized,
fastidious.
Like I can move one of these little what are these things? Mic.
Don't touch it.
Yeah, exactly. One of these little mic things. Just tilt it a little bit. If I come back, it is tilted back because that's you, right?
Yeah.
And your patio is very well put together, and you take care of it and you manage it. But at the same time, there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's things you've collected over the years and just adopted.
Yes.
And they've allowed to grow. So it just melts together. That's not what I would envision. I would envision you have a hibiscus in this corner, this in this corner, that in that corner, and then you just keep it like that. That's the person I would think you would be as a gardener.
Right.
But you are a wild gardener because you collect things and they could have no fit in your garden.
And no rhyme, no reason.
But you still put it there.
It's a combination of finding things in the dumpster,
yes,
gifts from you and John, occasionally going out to buy something. But you're right. It's not like, okay, here's where all the the orchids are over here,
right?
And here's the cactus here, hibiscus here, tropicals here. Nah, you know what? Just throw it all together.
See, but that's not the person I feel you are.
I know.
Because he's a little OCD,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
Yes.
I was thinking that today, by the way. I had to stop and get gas when I stopped to get a cup of coffee, and I got gas, and I wanted to stop it at $29 even, and it went to $21.01 or $20.01. And I thought, so I tried to get, let's see if we can get $21.04 or $20.05. Right. And then it went to $6. And finally, I just gave up. I couldn't get it to land on a perfect number. You do that, right? When you get cash?
No, I will say that I used to kind of think about that, But nowadays with credit card, where it just like goes and clicks, and I'm like, whatever. I don't really pay attention to it that
See,
much.
I could do that, but I'd be really uncomfortable.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I used to do that when I was paying with cash.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want a particular change back. You know, if I was
Right.
You know, you'd go to the cashier
Right.
and be like,
Right.
"Oh, you know, I owe you $1.04," and then they give you 4 pennies, and you're like, "Great, thanks."
Are we caught up? I see a couple of comments that have popped up, John. I want to make sure we stay.
Well, Dana
Current.
says that what you're saying is that gardening styles and care is subjective.
Well,
That's what we are saying.
I think that it could reflect one's personality, but I never give it that much thought. I just
Well, I kind of wonder what's behind Dana's statement.
About you.
I wonder if she's referring to something.
well, you are,
Hey, I've got some news, by the way.
John's trying to start a fight.
no, it's a conspiracy thing going on here. But back up. There's some more things here, I think. I want to catch up on these comments. Oh, well, go ahead. Don't lose your train of thought. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right, because it's easy for me to lose, but this is exciting, and I want all our listeners to hear this. We've been talking about doing a tour next year, and we had some things planned, and then because of an unfortunate set of circumstances, it turns out we're not going to do a European tour, but we're going to have a really good tour here in the United States. At least we don't have the final itinerary, but we will shortly.
Is this the Gardens of Bagnasco?
No. We are going to go to the Philadelphia Flower Show, which is the largest garden show in the United States.
Who would think, right? Philadelphia.
Yeah. It's been going on for years, put on by the Garden Society back there, the Horticultural Society, and Longwood Gardens, which is another great place to visit, and maybe some other local sites like the Liberty Bell, Independence Hall, maybe one of the Philly cheesesteak places.
One of them.
Well, there's two
that
that compete with each other.
What's the proper cheese to use in a Philly cheesesteak?
Well, I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
Do you know?
No.
Really?
No.
You guys don't know the proper cheese?
Well,
No.
I can't eat a
Are
Philly
we disappointing
cheesesteak,
you?
so-
I don't like
Yeah.
it when you're disappointed in me.
So everybody would think like what kind of cheese is in a Philly cheesesteak? Cheese Whiz. That's like a
Oh, that's
real.
right.
That's
Yeah.
a real Philly cheese steak.
but
is
cheese
when they
whiz
use
isn't cheese, is it?
cheese. But that's what they use.
Is that
right?
like- that's
Didn't you
like
hear that
saying-
before?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like real Philly cheesesteaks
Right.
use cheese
That's like
whiz.
saying Velveeta.
Yes. Yeah, they use.
Well, I think
so-
Velveeta's a step up, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is kind of a step
Wow.
up.
During
I
the
think. Like
break-
if there's a step up from Cheese Whiz,
I want people
it's
to chime
Velveeta.
in on this on Facebook
I-
Live. Really?
I really feel I'm correct, but I remember seeing before like one of those food shows, and they go to like Philadelphia and want the authentic Philly cheesesteak, and they use Cheese Whiz.
There's a place, I don't know if you're still there or not. It's about a mile from here on Convoy, and it's a
Gaglione Brothers?
Philly. What? No, it was a Philly cheesesteak place. The guy was from Philly. This guy was legit.
On
And
Convoy?
we used to go there. 10 years ago. But he was the real deal.
I love
a
Philly
little bit
cheesesteak.
rude. Just the whole thing. But
Yeah.
in a funny way.
Yeah.
It's what you're going to get. It's how we do it here. You guys go someplace else, you don't like it. That sounds New York, doesn't it? Sorry.
Did I cut off your train of thought on the
Well,
Philadelphia Flower Show? Sorry, John.
You cut off the bad news.
This is rabbit hole day.
Yeah, the bad news, though, is that because of the tour that we're taking, we're going to be limited in the amount of people that
Oh,
can
that's
come with us.
horrible news. That's
Well-
terrible, John.
It is, because you hate to put a limit on it. But what I wanted to let the listeners know, if you are listening to this, if you think that you might want to go, send me an email to
Sure.
john@gardenamerica.com and let me know how many people. So if it's you and a friend, just say, 2 people. And you're not committing to anything. You don't have to do it. But as soon as, our friend Sherry, who used to work with us
Right.
at other
Went to Costa Rica with us.
Right,
Came
went to
back from
Costa Rica.
Africa.
And she's going to be putting the tour together. So you will get the itinerary before it's released online or to anyone else. So if you look at the itinerary, you look at the final price and decide you want to come, you'll be able to.
Okay, we got to take a quick break.
Okay.
Anything
So
else
anyway,
to add to this?
John at gardenamerica.com. Just let me know. And
Okay.
again, no commits, but you'll have a space initially reserved.
And if we can always touch upon this too after the break or later on in the show. It is break time. Garden America. This is for Biz Talk Radio. Brian Main, John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox. Stay with it. Garden America. We have returned from the break. Your garden buddies are back with you as we continue through the month of October. Things finally cooling off just a bit here in Southern California. Although today back up to about 78 degrees, which isn't bad. But I can taste it. I can smell it. Fall is definitely here. It's going to be a good season as always, which means we'll be talking about various topics concerning gardening this time of the year, how to prepare, what to do.
We're just talking about the tour that we were going to take, and one thing we forgot to mention is when is it?
Yeah.
Lila was wondering when it is.
Well, that's part of the fun. See, we're going to guess.
Yeah.
And if you guess correctly, you get the trip free.
Oh, goodness.
Like,
Wait a minute.
Well,
kidding.
yeah,
It's
what's
not really a
going
guess.
on?
You can look that up online.
Of course.
The Philadelphia Flower Show is from May 1st to May 8th or something like that, May 9th. Anyway, it's March, not May. I
Yeah,
know
March.
I just said May.
That's okay,
I'm gonna
March.
correct you.
They both begin with M's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
and they
halfway
MA.
there.
MA.
Then they switch.
Right. Okay. So it's March 1st. So the tour will be the last week in February into like March 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, something like that. And it'll probably be a short trip, like maybe 4 nights, 5 days,
I was going to say
something like
5
that.
days.
That's not bad. That's inside of a week.
Right.
Yeah.
And we'll have the information coming up soon. But again, if you're interested in going, I
Right.
see a lot of people online already saying it sounds great, it sounds
Okay.
cool.
Yeah. John at gardenamerica.com.
Yeah,
Yes.
just send me a note.
Okay, let's catch up on
Carla?
comments, Tiger.
Okay, Carla said, I've seen an interesting article in several sources, so I hope it's true. Scientists have grown a tree from 1,000-year-old seed that archaeologists found in a cave in the Middle East. It was planted and is now 10 feet tall. They believe it is a biblical plant mentioned in several Bible passages, such as the balm of Gilead in the book of Jeremiah. If true, it would be an interesting topic if you ever do a Bible plant episode.
I thought we did a Bible plant episode.
It's a
Yeah,
while
but we haven't
back,
done
though.
it in a while. But what else? Frankincense and myrrh, right? Isn't that the big
Those
thing
were gifts.
that
Gifts to Jesus.
is it? One of them doesn't
Spices.
exist anymore.
They both
Right?
do.
They both do.
Right. And those
Okay, I
the
thought
spices, right?
one of them didn't exist.
They're really rare, though,
Okay.
and they've always been rare.
When I was a kid, I thought it was Frankenstein. It was a long time.
Frankincense and myrrh come from the sap of trees
Right.
that they scar the tree. It exudes a sap. It hardens, and then that's where they get the
They grind it
frankincense
up
and myrrh. Right.
Yeah. No, so it's a spice though?
They're spices, aren't they,
Not
John?
spices.
No,
They're
it's
not spices.
It's like a incense, isn't it?
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's got incense in the very name on one of them.
Frankincense.
Right.
It's frank
Frankincense.
incense.
Not to be confused
Bill
confused
incense.
with incense and peppermints.
Yeah.
That's totally different.
Yeah.
I don't think Tiger got
I
that.
don't know.
No, but you did.
Yes.
You know what? Whether I play to 100 or 1, it's still fun.
Tommy James, right?
But
No,
that,
that was Strawberry Alarm Clock. The group is Strawberry Alarm
Yeah,
Clock.
I know Strawberry Alarm Clock.
Yeah, that's not Tommy James.
What did Tommy James do?
Oh my gosh, Dragging the Line, Crimson and Clover.
Oh, that's what I'm
Crimson and
thinking
Clover.
of. Crimson and Clover.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
He does a show on Sirius XM, and if you didn't know who he was and how old he was, he sounds like a 20-year-old surfer kid.
really?
And he's well into his 70s. Yeah.
Oh.
By the way, just so people don't think that I'm weird with my gas pump, John says he does the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
He says, but the reason's a little different. He says that way he knows it was he that pumped the gas and not some hacker.
but do you do, sometimes you play a little game where you've got it going really fast,
And then you try
and
to
you know
stop
when
it.
you want to stop, and you want to stop it. It's like a slot machine. You want to stop it right there, exactly 50 or 40 or whatever.
Yeah.
Can I honestly say I've never done that?
Never?
I have done
And
that.
Oh,
I've
it's
never
fun.
I have
even
done
thought
that.
of it.
It's more fun than what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Oh.
Well, we're collecting some comments here. I don't want to leave anybody out.
Uh-oh. John on them. I didn't see another one.
John says Dana says if I don't eat cheese, will I just get a Philly steak?
Philly steak.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Hey, so Ron says gopher wood. What's that? Gopher wood was used to build the ark, right? Silence.
Well,
Right, John? That's what was used to, I believe, gopher wood, right?
yes, but nobody knew what gopher wood was, and I think I might have this wrong. It might have been in a dream, but I think the article that Carla was referring to, the tree that that they're growing from this, they thought might be gopher wood,
Okay.
which would be kind of cool.
Which,
But nobody really knows what gopher wood was.
yeah, true.
When you guys come,
it's all the wood that fell over from the gophers.
yeah, I was
eating
just
it
going to
and
say
laying
you'll
on the street.
see gopher wood when you come to my house.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, I didn't tell you guys this because it was disheartening,
Is
but
this confession time?
I had a subterranean attack at my house, and by the time I was able to retaliate, we'd lost 3 roses.
Oh my goodness.
Now I'm up to 49 on gophers trapped, but the gopher did get 3 roses. And I mean, they could be beavers because that's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah, does this happen at night? Is this like an after dark kind of an attack so that they know that he's sleeping?
The good news is the
gophers are
time of year.
nocturnal.
The time of year that this is happening is the perfect time that I can usually save the rose.
Yeah.
And I'll show you what's happened when you come over. One of the roses that died, though, was a pretty rare rose, and it was 4 feet wide by about 4 feet tall.
That's
And
a wide rose.
it's gone.
Oh man.
Well, not only will you show us next week, you can show our viewers next week.
We're going to do the show from my house, right?
Yeah, from John's house, from the backyard, front yard, whatever's planted, we're going to be looking at it for the most part. But I think we'll focus on roses for the most part.
I have there's a comment I want to say right now, but then I also have a question on John's gopher issue. Real quick, Tanya, good morning, all. Checking in a little from Solving. Had to go to Paula's Pancakes for breakfast. Vintage car show here today. Have you ever been to Solving, Brian? Solving? It's on the way up to San Luis Obispo's.
Yeah, I've driven through
Santa
it.
Maria. Those.
Yes, but that car show sounds cool.
It's Danish, right?
Yeah, it's a Danish
Yeah, all
village.
Danish. Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
yes,
it's
and they
really
got the
cool
windmills
spot.
and stuff.
Yeah, they got all
right.
windmills and everything.
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Well, have fun in Solving. Okay, if you've got to go for that 8 a rose, and you catch it quick enough, could you take cuttings from that rose and try to root those?
Or could you take cuttings from the gopher?
Well, that would be sick. So I would never do that.
And why would he want to produce more gophers?
Right. However, if we catch a gopher when you're there, I'll save it, and you can do whatever you want with it. Maybe, that women don't have mink stoles anymore, but I wonder if anyone ever made a gopher stole.
Gopher stole.
With the little, how they used to have
little head.
the little heads wrapped around their neck.
Let's back. I want to make sure we don't miss anybody. Let's back up a little bit.
I don't think we missed anybody.
Rick says, have you ever gone to the Santa Barbara Orchid Show? Mm-mm. Never.
No.
And I've been wanting to do this now for over 30 years.
Really?
You've been trying?
Yes.
What's
so
stopping
special
you?
about the Santa Barbara one?
Oh, my gosh. It's like the #1 orchid show in the United States.
Really?
All the big shots hang out there.
Yeah. It must
We
be.
need to do that next year.
All right. When is it?
I'm afraid
know?
to buy orchids
You're
Why?
afraid?
because I won't stop. It's like your first taste of
Of what?
I mean, it's because I know. I mean, that started happening with roses when you started introducing me to roses.
But orchids are commodities now.
Yeah,
So if you
yeah.
buy one and when it's done blooming,
You buy
throw
another one.
Throw it away.
Yeah, I know. But still, it'd be nice to have a nice collection.
I still have the orchid that our guest gave us. Was that?
Oh yeah, that big nice arrangement.
Oh,
I would
yeah.
hope
Beautiful.
so. John says, "I'll take this home. This will be for Shannon."
Didn't you take something?
Okay, yeah, it's in my patio.
Yeah.
It's
Well, there you go.
It doesn't have the new date, but last year's date was March 8th through 10th. And
So after Philadelphia, we'll go to the Orchid Show in Santa Barbara. It works out perfectly.
Yeah, we'll just fly from one to
Right.
the next.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
I guess that's not going to work. Okay. What else is going on here?
I don't know. Brian's saying there's other questions.
Can
but I
you
don't-
take cuttings? Okay, hold on here. Let me back up.
I'd
just to
ask
make-
you if you can take cuttings from your roses that have been eaten by gophers.
Lenore wanting to know, did we already answer this?
Oh,
When
did
can
I answer your question?
No.
Lenore
Oh.
says, when can I prune some high branches of my cherry tree? Did we didn't answer that, right?
Well, I don't know. Tiger and I were just having another conversation,
Yeah.
but we could switch over to what you're
Yeah,
saying.
because you're not paying attention to our guest, not our guest, but our listeners and viewers today.
So we'll go back to John's
you
question.
guys
in a
do what
minute.
you were
no,
doing.
No. But to answer Lenore's question, when can I prune the high branches from my cherry tree?
You should always prune cherries immediately after you've picked the fruit in the summer. Right?
Right.
Any fruit tree.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
You know, it used to be that traditionally you did pruning in the winter, right?
January.
Yeah, when the trees were completely dormant.
Yeah. And you still do some of the lacing or dead branch
Yeah.
pruning and stuff like that during that time of year.
And you can prune if you want that time.
Yeah.
But really the best time is in the summer.
Okay, now if we
Summer
answer this
pruning.
question, you can give me a hard time.
Okay.
And accuse me of not listening to the show, which is fine.
Okay.
Veronica, wondering what a mousetrap tree is and how it got its name,
Oh.
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
We'll see that at my house, maybe. I put a picture of, I went out and took a picture for this newsletter, and it has a lot of blooms on it that look like black-eyed Susan
I
flowers.
gotta take a break. I'm late again.
Look at how he
I'm
does
so
that.
wrapped up in the show.
All right.
Gee.
Well,
I know.
just
We're-
remember Mousetrap when we come back.
We will. We're going to take a break to stay on, well, not to stay on time because that ship sailed, but to keep in time as best we can for Biz Talk Radio. Stay with us. We are back. If you're tuned in on Biz Talk Radio, by the way, this is the final segment of hour number 1. You've got news coming up, top of the hour. How about that? We come back at 6 minutes after. The key word is mousetrap, John.
Mousetrap trees. So anyway, I was saying how the flowers look like black-eyed Susan flowers. And I don't know if you saw it in the newsletter, Brian, but I really like it. I've always been fascinated by the tree, and it's a hard one to get because it doesn't propagate easily. It almost impossible to propagate from cuttings, and seeds, I guess, are difficult to germinate. But it's called a mousetrap tree because when the flowers are pollinated, it produces a seed pod that has like fish hooks on the end of it. And if you get one of those in your hand, I mean, it's like a Chinese finger trap. I mean, you can't get it out. And so a small animal or something going by, like a mouse, would catch on that.
Ooh.
And that's part of how the seeds get dispersed in the wild.
Yeah.
You know, they would follow it around until it got somewhere else. Eventually, seeds would pop open and
After it died.
right, it would have fertilizer
Yeah, exactly.
and be somewhere.
So if you planted a mousetrap tree and then right by it, you planted the Mickey Mouse plant.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
but they grow together.
Yeah.
Yeah, would they grow together?
Hard to say.
Are roses affected by nematodes in the soil?
That's from Carla. Carla, that's an excellent question. And yes, absolutely. And I think we've mentioned this before on the air, but in the South, where nematodes are a huge problem, you cannot grow a rose in the ground unless it's on Fortuniana rootstock, which is an extremely vigorous rootstock. But, in California, we use Dr. Huey rootstocks. Mm-hmm. It'll be dead within 2 to 3 years from nematode damage if you're growing it in the South. So in the South, you either have to grow them in containers or on Fortuniana rootstock. So, yes.
Do you know what nematode damage looks like on the plant, though?
On the plant?
If you see the plant, you're like, ooh,
would-
that's nematode damage.
Would you be able to identify
Yes,
it?
the stems are all black
Right
and the
away.
leaves are black.
So it just turns
It
black.
just dies.
Because I know when they pull out the roots, they have all the damage that you can see on
Right.
the roots.
Yeah, this
But-
kills the plant
Right, but
because the roots have damaged so,
okay,
so
so
much.
they're not going to confuse it with overwatering or underwatering or
No.
something like that. Okay. Look, it just turns all black.
However, in California, where we don't have a lot of nematodes, if you use Fortuniana rootstock, you get huge bushes.
Uh-oh.
Maybe 30% larger than any regular rose bush and 30% more flowers. It doesn't happen in the south because nematodes still attack the rootstock, but the rootstock's so vigorous that the plants grow normally, but not huge like they would here.
It's kind of like you with gophers. You don't even have to prune your roses because they're constantly being eaten underneath.
There's no time.
Root pruning is not something you want to do to roses, though.
Root pruning.
Anyway, I'll show you guys when you're coming. I think
Yeah.
I've saved the 4 that were eaten in the last 2 weeks. One for sure was a seedling, one of my polyantha seedlings that I put in the ground and watched how it did. And it looks like it might be another nice rose that I may introduce. I went out there one day and it looked like it was dead. But pulled it up, put it in a pot, and now it's reliefing.
Nice. Well, so my question, though, was if you have a damaged gopher eaten plant, could you take cuttings and root those?
If you got it quick enough.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
if it hadn't desiccated.
like you go out there and you're like, ooh, that just happened. The maybe the full is just wilting just a little bit. Could you go out there, take a cutting, and try to root it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I haven't been that successful with cuttings.
But you are successful with just taking that plant, putting it in proper soil,
Cut it way back.
cut it way back.
Yeah, put it in
I'm surprised that you don't have a trail cam someplace up on your property, to see like critters that walk by at night, coyotes,
that'd be
raccoons,
That
squirrels.
would be fun.
Funny
to
you
have.
mention that because I have some poison that I'm putting out to kill varmints.
Uh-huh.
And every night I set it out, and every morning some of it's been eaten. And the next day more's been eaten. And I want to find out what's eating it,
Yeah. You can be killing a protected animal in the state of California.
or my neighbor's dog or something.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, that's kind of indiscriminate, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But I only do it at night, so I know that no daytime creatures are getting it.
But yeah, that would be. You should do that, and then you'd know exactly what.
Yeah. Maybe you could buy me one for Christmas.
Sure, little trail cam.
Yeah.
You'd have
Speaking
to know
of
how to use it, though.
speaking,
Oh
whole
yeah,
nother
we're
thing.
gonna put the card in. You gotta set it up. Yeah, that's a whole deal. Well, Tiger will come over. That'll
well,
be
my
his
birthday
gift.
was this week. Since we're
Yeah,
talking
and I
about
wished you
presents.
happy birthday on
Yeah.
Facebook too, by the way.
Oh,
And then for your
Thank you.
gopher eating roses, I got you a bottle of HB 101.
HB 101. When the camera switches to me, I'll hold it up.
He'll
There you go.
switch it right now. There you go.
Yeah.
Look at
So I got the HB 101 from Tiger. Thank you, Tiger. I got a Facebook mention from a lot of our listeners.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. And also the one from you, Brian. And then my wife got me, we were talking about a little greenhouse for rooting cuttings. And it has a heat mat. I think heat's important. So we'll try that. The thing that fascinated me was the cover to this tray had LED lights that hook into the top. So you've got lights, heat. What more do you need?
Can you
He's all happy.
can you go 24 hours light on a cutting?
Yeah.
Yeah, just as much light as possible will
Yeah.
help it root quicker. You don't,
Oh.
you don't have to give it a rest period at all.
Well, no, because what's going to rest?
Yeah. Right. No, I'm
That's
just,
his point.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I don't know. We'll see if it helps. So far, I mean, you can go on the internet and you can find hundreds of ways to root cuttings, and they don't all work. Some do, some don't. When it comes to roses, you can find absolutely 100% guaranteed ways to not get a rose. But all the ways that people use, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. The frustrating thing about rose cuttings is sometimes they'll leaf out and even put a bud on, and then you pull it up and the bottom of the stem is black.
No root at all.
No root
That's
at
it.
all.
Okay, it is break time. Pausing for Biz Talk Radio. News coming up top of the hour. Hopefully you, well, they do carry the second hour. Hopefully you can get the second hour on Biz Talk Radio because we have a lot in store for hour 2. Facebook Live is just one continuous loop. We'll keep on going, so do stay with us. Brian Main, John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox here on Garden America. Well, hey there, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Garden America. Hour number 2 for those on Biz Talk Radio. If you missed hour number 1, you can always catch the replay of the entire show, each and every show, because every afternoon, Saturday afternoons, we upload our shows to YouTube, our YouTube channel, Garden America Radio Show. And you can watch any show, fast forward, pause, rewind, whatever you want to do. You never miss a show here. There's also Alexa, Spotify. We've got Google. A lot of things happening here, a lot of ways to catch and watch Garden America. Boy, the phones are going off just right and left, aren't they?
That's yours.
What, didn't you have one that went off? Mine went off after something else. There was a ding someplace.
No, those are.
It's all you.
Is that really?
It's all you, yeah.
Oh, look at this. Enjoy the show. Oh, a lot of good comments here.
Texting you?
Yeah.
Well done. I like Kevin's.
What does yours say there? I want to reserve 20 seats to go to Philadelphia.
25 seats. Friends and family. Very good.
I like Kevin's comment. John, have you tried releasing gopher snakes on your property?
I have gopher snakes
you
on
have.
my property, right?
Yeah, you have. But I want to know, have you tried releasing them? Is that something you can order online and just get shipped
like
to you?
decollete snails?
Yeah, exactly.
It would be a good business.
Yeah.
I don't think I told you this because it was just last week, but I was behind the hill where we're going to do the show from, on that hill going down where that erosion was. I was pulling some weeds down around a couple of the roses below, and I reached in to grab a bunch of weeds under this one bush, and I heard this rattle, and I looked, and there was a rattlesnake.
Ooh.
So that's the second one I've seen in the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, you know, whenever you bend down to reach or grab for something, be careful.
Well, I was wearing gloves.
Yeah, but what kind of gloves?
Rattlesnake-proof gloves.
Yeah, you were wearing those medical gloves.
I went in and told my wife, told her I found a rattlesnake. I said, you want to come see it? She goes, no.
No.
Yeah, not just.
I would.
Yeah.
I'd want to
Of
go see it.
course you want to go see it, right?
You know what? Do you have a big hook? You need a big hook and learn how to pick them up and
Like one of those
relocate
grabbers.
them. Yeah, grabber, yeah.
Yeah.
And hold
Grab
it
her in a
away from you,
bucket.
so you're not in striking distance.
Let's see. Who was this here? I can't keep up with these.
Okay,
They're going
there we
so
go.
fast.
There's another 2 people just
made
signed up
the
for the trip.
reservation. Made the reservation.
I think it was it Lisa?
Were we talking though? John had a fall 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
3
gosh,
weeks ago.
a
Was
little
it longer?
That was.
You fell face first down the hill, right?
Do
It was about 6 weeks ago.
Oh, what was
Yeah.
that long? Oh. Do you keep your phone on you while you're working outside?
So you can hit
No.
that emergency.
No.
You don't. You got to keep that phone.
There's
on
an
you.
emergency
Keep
thing
it
on
in
your
pocket.
phone if you're incapacitated,
So super funny regarding that.
and you
I had
can
a
put
friend.
different people on there to hear it.
I had a friend that was in an accident, and nowadays when you're in an accident, sometimes your phone
It'll go off.
knows.
Right.
So he was in an accident, and his phone went off saying, "Hey, we think you're in an accident. Are you okay?" But the airbags didn't go off. He was
Wow.
rear-ended, and then that caused him to bump the car in front of him. So it was both sides on the highway, and his airbags. But the tow truck driver said, "Oh, maybe it's just because it wasn't the front end impact, just the rear end." And I'm like, still, you would think you would want those to go off.
But or did he not hit the car in front of him hard enough?
That's what they're saying. The front impact was not that hard. But I thought it was even more amazing. With all of that, the phone knows. The phone knew he was in an accident.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah, John, you need to keep your phone on you.
Yeah,
when you're working in the yard.
or have somebody supervise you.
I need one of those. What are they? Is it Life Alert? Yeah.
That's your phone nowadays. You
I've
don't need a
fallen and
life.
I
You don't need a
can't get
life
up.
alert. You just need your phone in your pocket.
Garden alert, rose alert.
Yeah.
You know, there was a comment on here and I lost it.
What was the kind of theme of it? Do you remember?
Yeah, I was just trying to remember who it was from. I think it was Lisa. But anyway, she was saying that the newsletter was kind of serendipitous for her because she bought a miniature rose on Thursday and then got the Friday newsletter and miniature roses were in there.
Oh, look at that. We Yeah, it's that new Google Analytics we're using that just reads all your minds, and then we now can formulate our newsletters based
around to what you were thinking and what you were going to be doing that week.
That's what I use the AI for. I get a notice, hey, Lisa just bought a miniature rose.
Exactly.
A lot of people say that they're really interested in going on the trip. So again, if you want to reserve, I think Sherry's watching now too. So we're going to plan the final details at my house next Saturday, and she'll send the itineraries out to those who sent me.
Boy, that's awful quick. We don't mess around, do we?
Well, it's March.
No, it's October, but
it's going to be March. It's coming quickly. It's actually February.
Well, if you think about it,
it's almost Christmas.
It is. Well,
and Valentine's comes right after Christmas, and then it's March. Yeah.
Wow. We've already
St.
done the
Patrick's
trip.
Day's too late.
We've already done the trip.
That depends if you're on the other side of the international date line or not.
So Sherry is tuned in. She says good morning.
Okay, Lenore says that her plumeria is still full of flowers, and she had that wind yesterday too. Crazy sudden wind.
Yeah,
and she's up in Canyon country. And she was surprised. She was worried her plumeria was gonna break because it fell over. But she said it didn't. And then
she said the container broke, but the plant did not.
Yeah, yet she said.
Was she worried about the plant that she got credit for in the newsletter?
Well, here's a poser. Did you see Kevin's poser?
Yeah, I saw that, the insurance. I'm waiting for the answer to that. It's a setup of a joke.
Yeah, if multiple cars crash in a chain reaction, whose fault is it? For insurance purposes.
Okay, here's what I'm going to say. The car that's at the very first car and the very last car.
No, it's the back of the line.
Back of the line.
Yep.
Wait, because no matter if you rear end somebody, it's always your fault because you're supposed to give enough room in front of you so that it doesn't happen.
So do you know though that California is a no-fault state?
Yes.
Okay.
Just like divorce and insurance.
And so that's why there's all these insurance commercials, and they always are say void in California, because everywhere else, insurance companies fight for who's at fault.
Right.
And they try to base their claim on who's at fault.
Right.
In California, it doesn't matter. Like you're just everybody's at fault. They're just going to pay the claim. So, all those rewards that other states get for driving safe, for having good records, in California, we don't get that. I wonder if that's better or worse. Depends on your driving.
Can you get divorce insurance?
I don't know.
I've never heard of that.
I don't know.
That's interesting.
Well,
Brian,
it's no fault.
Yeah, I don't know what Brian was hinting with the no fault divorce claim.
But it's in California. Yeah.
What?
No fault divorce.
What does that mean?
That's somebody's fault.
What is that? It means basically like insurance, like
the same kind of thing.
It just didn't
you
work
don't
out.
have to prove that it was your fault.
Right. I like the insurance idea.
You have to prove in another state that it's someone else's fault for a divorce?
Oh, it used to be you couldn't get a divorce.
You could, yeah.
Unless you can prove
it
was someone else's fault,
right?
Or some fault.
There was a basis for it. That's why, what is it now? Irreconcilable differences.
Yeah.
That's the most vague.
That's what they went to after a while, because you really had to have some proof of something, and then as times changed and it became morals became more lax, they settled on irreconcilable
differences.
And then they did that for so long that they just figured, forget it.
Just yeah.
And today, the way morals are, the divorce situation's been solved, because you only can get a divorce if you've been married.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that anymore.
All right, where are we in our comments?
Yeah. Kevin took us down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. Yeah, we're very easily swayed.
Yeah. But though, speaking of this topic, I bet you, in relation of our topics, there are some couples out there that have some pretty big arguments about what happens in the garden. Because, like, John, you and I have a very easy relationship. Your wife pretty much allows you to do whatever you want with the yard. She has her opinions, but nonetheless, for the most part, it's what you want to do in the garden. She'll just kind of allow and go along with it. She wants her hydrangeas. She wants a few plants, but not a big deal. My wife, she never even
She never even goes to the
She doesn't even know what's in the
She
backyard.
doesn't even know where you work.
Yeah, exactly. Like she doesn't even know what's in the backyard. She'll be like, "Hey, can you go get me some lemons from the grocery store?" I'm like, why don't we just go to the tree in the backyard that has 50 of them on there? She's like, "We have a lemon tree?" I'm like,
so
"Oh, yeah."
fun. It is so funny.
So it's very easy, but I'm sure there's couples out there that have very strong opinions about their garden, and they might have a difference of opinion.
That's interesting. Hey, we're going to take a quick break to stay on time. Another break. A few more segments coming up. The show's we're not close to being over. We're long way to go right here in this sheet.
Talk about divorce as soon as we
We'll
get
be
back.
talking about divorce, insurance claims, no fault this, no fault that.
Yeah.
And if we give you wrong advice here in the show, hey, it's not our fault.
fault.
Not our fault. Garden America continues after these messages on Biz Talk Radio. Hey there, we have returned. The beauty of Facebook Live is that break was about 5 seconds. Those on Biz Talk Radio, thank you for supporting our many people who support this show. Fertilome, our main sponsor, they keep us on the air. Fertilome, thank you to Fertilome and their fine line of products. Yeah. Is it time to have Fertilome on again?
It should be, right?
So that'll be happening soon. So we can dive into not just the fertilizers, but their entire line, which we're all very familiar with.
A few comments on this divorce issue. And
Interesting,
in
isn't
your
it?
garden.
Here, I got another can of worms right here, John, when you're done with that.
Okay, and Gina goes, trigger warning.
But it's true. I'm sure there's some people out there that have, because garden.
If you're both really into it.
Well, and it's not a short time thing, meaning when you're going to go plant that tree in your backyard, and that's a 30-year investment,
be sure.
50-year investment, you have this feeling of this is the tree I want. And then somebody comes along and goes, I don't like that tree. I think it's an ugly tree. And you're like, oh, I really like this tree. I want this tree. I have this vision for this tree. That's a tough battle.
You do know that it drops and makes a mess twice a year.
Exactly.
Well, I don't care about that. It looks good, and I want to,
But now, what about the couples that are both into gardening and they support each other and they do things together and they get out there and plant the stuff?
What kind of world do you live in?
Well, you know what?
But that is not something premarital counseling addresses, is the garden theme.
One of the guys that I lived in a men's co-op when I was going to Michigan State Universities, and one of the guys that lived with me was Dave Erlinger, who ended up being the head horticulturist at the Cincinnati Zoo. Then he moved out to Encinitas and worked at what was then Quail Gardens.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's where I know that name from.
Yeah, and his wife teaches horticulture. Mm-hmm. So the two of them, I always thought made a great combination. And when they were, they would look for plants together, and they would come up with ideas of things to put in the garden, things they liked. So that would be the ideal situation, right?
That's a success story.
Yeah.
So Gina says that her and her husband differ a lot when it comes to gardening.
Yeah.
Oh, that's for sure.
Really?
Sam is, you know what you were talking about, Brian being a little OCD and having everything in a row, perfect, nothing out of, that's the way.
Like Sam's garden.
Sam's garden, yeah.
Okay.
Rocks, no weeds.
Uh-huh.
No weeds?
Yeah, no weeds because you've got rocks and you can spray if you got them. And then.
Is Gina like a cut flower garden, like a long border that's just mixed of all kinds
Gina's
of
got
things?
her own sense. She's color coordinated.
Yes.
And everything has to, she has a sense of beauty to the garden.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned to one of her comments when she was helping me and I was going to put something there. She said, you can do what you want. I only do beautiful.
I thought just occurred to me that is there such a thing as masculine gardening and feminine gardening? And I could just see a guest. Look, I found somebody that talks about this very same topic.
Yeah.
Feminine gardening and masculine gardening, and what the difference might be. Like you would think that women might be more into color, although I love color.
Yeah.
I really like color, probably more so than I should. But I wonder if there are variances in that. Male-female gardening, husband and wife gardening.
I think it's very obvious, masculine garden versus feminine garden, in the sense of, it's like pink and blue, where people think that feminine gardening is going to be more in the flowers and the pretty things, And the masculine garden is going to be the more
Trees
use
and
of
grass
space,
and-
grass, use of space, shrubs, hedges, and stuff
Yes.
like that. Just like you could say, well, cooking, women are going to be more cooking the meal in the kitchen, and then, men barbecue more. That's the more masculine garden.
But what's interesting,
I was thinking
cooking.
more microwave.
but you know what's interesting?
You don't have to start a fire that way.
For the most part, and there's
Yeah.
a few,
Yeah.
you go to a restaurant, there's chefs.
Oh, yeah.
The men,
That do
for the
all the
most
cook-
part,
yeah.
would be doing the cooking. And at home, it's a little different in
Yeah.
some cases.
Yeah. No,
Some cases.
it's just general.
I
General,
think part
but-
of the garden can be primary colors for men, pastels for women. Right?
Yeah.
Not
Exactly.
always, but I mean,
Are you still
Yeah.
colorblind? Or
What?
did that pass?
once I was colorblind, but now I see.
Very good.
But yeah, I don't know where we got off on that. We had you. I cut you off on something else that you
Oh,
were
we've been
talking
cutting
about.
each
John,
other
I'm
off
sorry.
all day. Sorry.
Yeah, of course I don't remember it.
Yeah.
Tanya says that her husband says that she can plant anything she wants as long as she takes care of it.
Oh, see, there you go.
That's like getting a dog when you're 10 years
Yeah.
old.
Hey, as long as you feed it, walk
Right.
it.
But she said when she needs help, he's a good sport about it. They're now celebrating 47 years of marriage this weekend.
Yeah. I wonder.
And
What
by
she need, I wonder what
coincidence,
she needs help with.
Tiger will
Tanya.
be celebrating 47 years in how many?
Of life.
Yeah. You got like 5 years to go.
5 more, four or five. Let's see, 81, and it's 2024. So I'm 43. I'm 43 now.
I
So,
remember
so
It's 4 more years.
4 more years.
you were just a kid when you started with us. Hadn't shaved yet.
I didn't shave.
He couldn't come to meetings because he'd say, "No, I'm not out of school then."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I
Had to
out
get
of
my
school
mom
at
to
3
drop me
o'clock.
off.
She'd drop you off for the show every week.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I wonder what Tanya kind of help he would provide her with her plants.
Moving something, maybe
Yeah.
carrying a bag of soil,
Maybe pruning a branch
pruning
or
a
something.
branch, reaching up high.
Yeah.
Take care of it as long as
Yeah.
because Dana helps take care of your patio sometimes.
You know
right?
what? It's interesting now. She's a lot. That used to be my thing.
Right.
She'd be in the kitchen watching me out there. Well, because she's adopted or we've adopted birds, squirrels, rats, all the wildlife that comes through our garden now. She's taken an active interest out there
Yeah.
in that part of the gardening. And also, she does a great job on our fountain. She'll
Nice.
drain all the water. She'll clean it. She'll scrub it and fill it back up with water and make it look all nice and neat. I don't do that anymore because she does a better job than I ever did.
Yeah.
I'm like, get it done, 10 minutes. She's out there 30 minutes,
Nice
making
and
sure it's all
clean,
nice
scrubs
and clean. You know, put the, what did we put in the water? We put in,
Bleach, chlorine,
oh my gosh. Anyway,
straw barley,
to keep the algae down.
algae down. Is it a chemical or is
Yeah,
it a
something
natural?
everyone has in their house. Hydro.
Aspirin? Oh, hydrogen peroxide.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It seems to work.
Yeah. Yeah, you talked about that. That hydrogen peroxide does seem to
Now,
work
eventually,
really well.
you're going to get algae, but
It's a good, safe alternative compared to chlorine or bleach.
right because the
and-
birds drink out of the fountain.
Yeah, and
So
that's
anyway,
not as bad.
So she's taken more of an active interest out there in the garden, and I cut the flowers, the roses, bring them in, put them, in a vase or a vase, or
Veronica wants to know if you put mosquito dunks.
we don't have. You know what? We
But
don't.
You change the water
You
frequently,
know, I've
and
got
it
these
moves.
little tiny. I've got on the back patio. There's I kind of cleaned it up yesterday, but there were some saucers there that had water in them,
Mm-hmm.
and I was sitting in a chair there, and was getting mosquito bites, and they
Yeah.
were these little tiny mosquitoes.
Oh, so
I don't know
annoying.
if those are those tiger mosquitoes or
Yeah.
whatever they
But you're
were.
right there. The water moves a lot, and I dump out the saucers that are underneath the plants periodically. So, okay, it is break time again. That
Wow, that
means
was
2
quick.
more segments. It's a fast show. A lot of things happening here. Garden America. Keep those questions, those comments coming in Facebook Live. Thank you to those tuned in on Biz Talk Radio. I'm Brian Main, John Begnasco, Tyke Palafox. It is break time here on Garden America. We have returned from that break, still broadcasting from San Diego, California, iHeartMedia and Entertainment Studios, as John peruses the questions and comments.
We have one from Carla in Huntington Beach, again about roses. She has 2 icebergs, Tiger, that she wants to transplant. When should she do it, and how much should she cut back? She also mentioned she wants to put it where she dumped the nematode soil that she had tomatoes in. not always. I don't know if those are the same nematodes that would attack roses, but anyway, I wouldn't worry about it, especially with an iceberg.
Yeah. Yeah. And as far as when to cut it back and transplant it?
Yeah, anytime in the winter, right?
Yep. Exactly.
And cut it back as far as you want. Usually the further back, the better, but I would do it like right around Christmas. That would be a perfect time.
I don't think I cut back enough each year. I'm going to cut back more. That's good advice. I don't. I'm hesitant.
You know, when you come, I have to cut back, well, because of that heat.
Yeah.
I ended up having to cut back a lot of stuff. But when you come over, I'll let you cut back one of my roses.
Really? Yeah, one you don't care about.
Well, it's one that I have some that.
You got a lot of them. So if I make a mistake.
Yeah. There were. Tiger, I think, saw the roses before I cleaned up some of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they needed to have weeds pulled out of containers and be cut back.
You know, sometimes you're amazed at the little things I remember from years past that you've discussed. And then sometimes John will say, I don't remember ever saying that.
Yeah.
But I do recall you saying one thing when it comes to trimming roses.
If I say I don't remember ever saying that, I'm pretty sure I never did.
No, that just means that you just don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But let me ask you
I
this.
have a great memory.
Let's see if you, it's adequate. Let's see if you remember this, that everyone's under the impression that when they trim a rose, to trim it at an angle. And
Oh, I
John's-
remember that.
And John
Yeah.
says, there's no reason to trim it at an angle.
Yeah.
But why? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Okay. And
No reason.
that goes back 15, 20 years.
Yeah, if anything, I think it would hurt.
Because you're opening up more surface area.
Yeah, more surface area to...
Exactly. So you don't need to do that. But it's so funny how people I think I even probably did that at first.
No, I mean that you know, when we used to get bare root roses in, they were always trimmed at an angle. You know, the stem, the
Were
stick.
they?
Well, and then things changed over the years. But
Oh.
like you know, when I was young, I remember seeing bare root roses come in, and they always were cut at an angle. And like I don't know, like you say, like why did they do that? It didn't make any sense. But maybe
And you
to
know
make
the
them
answer to that. That's just the way
spiny.
we've always done it.
Yeah,
We've always done my
That's the-
father, my
That's the
grandfather.
way we all did it.
We all did it that way back in the day.
Yeah.
Tiger Rick has to transplant 3 orchids. Does he cut back the roots?
Orchids?
Yeah.
No. What orchids?
Well, it depends, right? If they're cymbidiums and they're going in soil,
Do you cut back roots?
you don't need to cut back. Well, in any orchid, you don't need to.
No, yeah, you don't need to cut back any.
But if you're cutting back roots on Phalaenopsis, it probably would damage them.
yeah, that's why I say no. And even then, like if you're, you know, some of the other orchids that maybe you're kind of might be better to if you're needing to downsize, it's better to divide them. I mean, you know, Phalaenopsis can't be divided, but like, you know, there's some bulbous orchids out there that you can divide and kind of decrease the root size if you're trying to fit it into a pot. But we've also talked about orchids also like a crowded pot,
Yeah.
crowded
Right.
container. So, you know, yeah, I think you run the risk of doing more damage cutting roots.
Did you see the reaction we got on cutting the roses at an angle? Feedback?
No, I'll have to take
Cleaner
a look. But
and not crush the stem.
The angle
which
allows
is more
the
likely.
cut to be cleaner and not crush the stem, which is more likely at right angles.
not if you're using the proper pruning shears. Really?
You know, there's the bypass pruner, which shouldn't be a big deal. But remember, there was the like anvil
pruners.
pruner.
Yeah,
that was,
those are the only way they can cut
Right.
is to crush.
They crush it, yeah.
Yeah.
So you want a nice, clean, thin cut, I would imagine, right?
Well, the cut has to be the diameter of the rose.
Right, but I'm saying with the shear, the better the shear, the
yeah,
better cut
that
you're
cuts
gonna
right
get.
through. Yeah. I had a couple questions here I wanted to get in. Lisa had commented that when she talks to her husband about doing something in the garden, she gets a deer in the headlights.
I saw that. Yeah.
And then there was another one that I don't even trust him to water properly. I can't remember who wrote that.
Speaking of music, Terry planted a Jethro Tull in the garden. We'll see how it does this winter and hopefully have a photo
Is that a
next
rose?
spring. What's it?
Jethro Tull? What is that?
I don't know.
So Ian,
Kevin.
my gosh.
Can you silence your phone
No,
already?
somebody else wants to get in on the trip.
Jeez.
Beautiful. They're all calling. Spam risk. I have to keep the emergency on in case something happens during the show.
Are we
Like,
going
who's
to
calling you?
Spam.
No, but in an emergency, who's calling you? Like, who's going to notify you of an emergency during
true.
the show?
What is Jethro? Ian Anderson was the lead singer of Jethro Tull. So, Kevin, what is it? What are you speaking of?
Rick wanted to know if we ever talked to Sharon and how she's doing.
Yeah, you talked to her probably more than Tiger and I, but I spoke to her not too long ago.
Yeah, she had I think she had an eye operation recently, and she was really sick last winter. She was in the hospital with pneumonia, and I think was in intensive care for a few days. But anyway, right now she's doing fine.
Yeah, she's doing fine.
Yeah.
Kevin says it's a small shrub.
That doesn't help us, Kevin.
That's pretty ambiguous.
Yeah. Is it a rose? It's got to be a rose. There's none of Jethro Tull.
Jethro Tull
plant.
shrub.
It's got to be a rose.
It's a variety for something, and I know what.
Oh,
this
I see
is.
Coreopsis.
Yes,
Okay,
that's
okay.
exactly what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
Thank you, Kevin, for that.
Yeah.
We had to do
So-
some digging.
So he planted it now,
Yes.
and then he's
Photos to follow.
Yeah, and he's in Idaho, so it's not going to do anything until probably the spring, right? What do you think? Because it's just going to be too cold.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they're hardy up there.
Yeah.
I mean, they could be. Lots of things are hardy in places where you would not think they're hardy.
Because they have to
I
be
love-
hardy
I love
to
the
battle the elements.
I love this description though. Jethro Tull is a very distinctive looking Coreopsis, but it looks like to me any other
like any other
it's a
one,
yellow
right?
daisy Coreopsis.
I planted 2 distinctive Coreopsis this year. Actually 3, now that I think of it. And they were way different than regular run-of-the-mill Coreopsis.
Was it
Two of
yellow?
them, 2 of them were double, and then one was red with serrated petals.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have really cool varieties of Coreopsis. That is something that I do see a plant and I'm like, that is neat. Because like you say, the foliage color and the foliage shape can be very different. And they're very hardy plants usually. And for us in Southern California, they're hardy. I mean, I don't know about Idaho, but that is something that you can find really neat looking, and they're always having new ones come out. So that's kind of a fun plant.
Well, you get a lot of inbreeding on some of the
Wow.
some of the annual and perennial
Yeah.
flowers, and you come up with some strange things.
Yep.
Just like with people.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say.
That's why we don't do it with people, but with plants, it's
you
okay.
had mentioned, though, that you'd be surprised how hardy some of these plants are in the elements. Well, I guess the elements are why they have to be hardy, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but you also are moving them to places where they're not native. We're moving plants all around the world now, so what's hardy in one area might not be hardy in a new area you move it to. But one of the things that surprised me, peonies aren't native to Alaska, but one of the biggest peony growing areas is north of Fairbanks, Alaska.
Wow.
What do you think
Less than
about
time?
that?
Yeah, we got about a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good. I need
I'm
you over there.
watching you.
I need you. Are you kidding? I need you over there.
Nice
so
to be
Alaska,
needed.
seals,
But
bears,
there's a
moose.
lot of really good plants that grow in Alaska because they do have a really good season, very specific point in time that plants can grow well.
It's a short window, but
yeah,
yes,
they
you're
got
right.
good soil, they have good water, they have good temperatures.
It's pure. Everything's pure.
Yeah.
Almost untouched, as we like to say.
Somebody's
minute, John,
mentioning
just to let you
that
know.
we should. Thanks for the update on Sharon, and it'd be nice if she could be a guest sometime. I just want our listeners to know that she hasn't been a guest for lack of our trying.
Yeah, she's been invited.
Yeah, she's been invited, and her comment is that at 80 years old, her radio days are behind her. And she's been very nice about it and very pleasant. But,
Yeah.
if she was in here in studio, you couldn't tell any difference from when she used to do the
No,
show.
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, break time. One more segment coming up. Show has flown by. It continues to fly, John.
Wow, we haven't even covered half of the outline we had.
Well, let's see how well we can do when we get back. Final segment coming up here. Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. Stay with us. This is Garden America. Just like that, we are back. Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. Thank you for tuning in, making sure that we cover all your questions and comments here. If at any time we don't, feel free to repost it, and then we'll get to it as quick as we can.
Or send Brian a personal email.
Yeah, or call me during the show.
Yeah, just call him during the show.
That works.
It works out.
The line is all tied up, though, with people trying to go on the trip. I think we're going to have to stop taking calls. Just kidding.
Have you
guys.
ever called into a radio show and gotten through?
Yes.
You have? Like for a contest?
Oh, for a contest.
Yeah, like meaning like,
I
they're
want to
like,
win
caller
$1,000.
number 9, call right now.
No, I called in to the who's the guy that does the morning show on KFI?
John and Kent, no. Oh, Bill
Handel.
Bill, is he still doing it?
Yeah, still
Okay.
does it.
Bill Handel.
Yeah. And I called in when I was working at Armstrong Nurseries.
Uh-huh. Well, that's a while ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago. And the topic was call in and let us know if you enjoy your place of business and whether it's a good place to work.
What did you say?
Wow.
Well, I had just started working
Yeah.
there, so I called and said what a great company it was. And he was a little surprised, that somebody would call in and say how much they enjoyed their company or their
Really?
working for a
Well,
company.
you know what I would say if I got through? Well, how about you, Bill? You work for KFI. How do you like your company? And be
goodness.
honest, because you're being recorded.
Well, he's been there a long time.
He has. That's a long time for any radio gig.
I think
That's a long time.
I think he's in the Radio Hall of Fame.
Might be. But, yeah, it's not a long – to have a show on more than 5 years?
Yeah.
10 years is – yeah, that's
He's like 30-some years, right?
at least. Yeah.
And then when you hear employees are void of participating,
Right.
do you go,
friends,
gosh.
family. No,
You-
because
you-
if they're giving away something, they probably have a bunch in the back and promotions. And you just go pick one up.
That's funny.
Veronica says she likes all the plant trips that she took with Sharon and Bruce. She said her most treasured book is the one that she and Bruce signed. She said that she was in a Barnes & Noble, and their book caught her eye, and as she was looking at it, Bruce and Sharon walked up and offered to sign it.
That's a good memory.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Have you ever been anywhere, Tiger, where you're talking to someone and someone comes by and says, "Hey, aren't you Tiger Palafox?"
Very rarely. Something like once.
I know that voice.
Oh, everybody hears your
Yeah.
voice. We talked about
I get
this.
that.
I had that happen at Grand Jetto's, and I had it at Walter Anderson's.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had it at Mission Hills Nursery. But then we're right there doing the show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So this weekend, I'm setting up a haunted house
In the backyard?
in our yard.
But your wife will never know it.
But my question for you guys is, I have this peace lily, this spathiphyllum, and it's in the corner, and I'm like, this looks cool with like the haunted house stuff, and I mean it's gonna be dark in there, there's gonna be lights and all that, and it's kind of in this cemetery area, and I'm like, this makes perfect sense, and she does not agree. She thinks it looks too nice for a haunted house, for a haunted cemetery, but it's gonna be dark, and I'm kind of like thinking it would be fine. What are your thoughts?
I would hang up some of those, what are the dead stick plants?
Dead stick plant?
Yeah, it's one of those
Branches?
Ripsalis or one of the epiphytes.
I don't
And
know.
they look like just,
I'd
it
have
looks
to- I'd have to-
completely
So
dead.
you want that to be part of inside the haunted house?
Yes.
But you're not going to really see it, or you would?
Yeah, it's gonna be dark.
Well,
and
what
it's
about
just kind of adds foliage in
They
the
still
cemetery.
have false Aurelius.
Yeah, they still have false.
Well, then
aurelius.
here.
What
without-
about a Dizygothca?
There we
Yeah.
go.
Without knowing how dark and exactly
Yeah.
what it looks like, I would say if it's not like something that's detail oriented, It's just there because it's dark.
Does it have flowers? Flowers
Yeah.
kind of look like little ghosts, right?
It does. It does have flowers. I think it
What
looks better with flowers.
What about putting some eyes on it?
Right?
Yeah, the little
There you go.
googly eyes.
Ooh, those googly eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be
That
fun.
would-
There you go. There's the
Yeah.
Who
there's
was
the
it that,
compromise with you and your wife.
Yeah.
who was that did that video?
With the googly eye plants.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was it happens
Christopher
every once in a while.
Walken, right?
Was it?
Wasn't it
From
him?
a Saturday Night Live or
Yes.
something?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
googly eyes.
Yes. Yeah. That's right. That's good. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should if you haven't seen that and you're listening to us, you should Google
Googly eyes.
Google googly eyes videos.
Yeah.
You know, maybe on YouTube. I think it's on YouTube. I've seen it there recently.
I know that some nurseries will put googly eyes on their plants.
Yeah.
Well,
and
it
name their
started
plants.
with Altman plants
Uh-huh.
putting googly eyes on their old man cactus.
Yeah.
And then it just went crazy after that. People started using them everywhere.
Linda says that she correctly answered a quiz on Over the Hedge and won a bag of cocoa mulch
Oh,
years ago.
yeah.
And Ed says, I get, aren't you Ed Wilson? That's good. I like that.
Ed Wilson.
West Coast Garden Line.
Yeah,
Were they
Lila won a
bus
pond
trips?
kit.
And I never met you. Carla, were they bus trips and I never met you? I don't know what she's replying to. I didn't scroll up enough.
Okay, inside. This is the last minute. You can fact check me on your timer right there.
6:23,
7:48.
Oh, I think she
7:48,
was,
we got to be out.
I think she was answering Veronica when Veronica said that she liked all the trips that she took with Bruce and Sharon.
Oh, yeah.
And so,
All right, so in this final minute, we're going to be live at John's
What?
house.
Yeah, next week.
One minute?
Next week, live, outside, backyard, house, home. Tours of the bathroom, tours of the living room.
Tours of the bathroom.
We'll try to get outside as much as we can, but I think the focal point should be in the house. No, it's going to be
We've
fun.
already done in the house. We did the library.
So we're going to be outside,
Right.
John's next week, and live from Fallbrook, California. How about that? So for the entire crew, which includes
Donuts and coffee you guys need,
Okay,
right?
that sounds good. A little bit
All
of
right.
sugar. For the entire crew, John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox, I'm Brian Main. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Biz Talk Radio. Thank you, Facebook Live. Tune in next week, Facebook live from John's house. It's like live from Daryl's house. Daryl Hall, John Oates. But Daryl does music from his house, and it's live from Daryl's house.
Oh, wow.
Which
I had-
anybody who knows what I'm talking about will know what I'm talking about.
I never knew that.
This is live from John's house
Now I
next
know what
week.
Tiger feels like.
Have a good one. We're just going to kind of fade away. See you next week.